My name is Calandra, and the morning I found the pawn ticket was the morning my marriage finally told the truth. Not with shouting. Not with tears. With ink. I was doing laundry. The safe kind of chore that makes you believe life is simple. Adrian's charcoal coat was at the bottom of the basket, heavier than usual, like it was hiding something for him. When I slipped my hand into the inside pocket, my fingers brushed a stiff rectangle. I expected a crumpled receipt, maybe a business card. Instead, I pulled out a worn pawn ticket. For a few seconds I just stared at it, my mind refusing to connect this cheap, tired slip of paper with my life. I smoothed it on top of the washing machine with my palm. At the top, in faded blue, was a logo I recognized from late-night commercials. Empire Gold and Loan. My stomach tightened. 3 weeks earlier, Adrian had sat at the edge of our bed and told me he had sold a few pieces to help us. We were behind on the mortgage. A client had defaulted. Costs were piling up. His voice had trembled in all the right places. "I could not watch us lose the house, Cal," he had said, eyes bright with what I thought was shame. "I sold some jewelry. Only what I had to. For us. For our future." By some jewelry, he meant mine. My grandmother's gold filigree necklace from Sicily. My mother's diamond studs, the last thing she wrapped for me before her surgery. The sapphire ring I bought myself the year I finally paid off every loan in my name. He promised it was temporary. He promised he would buy everything back. He promised he did it to protect us. I believed him. I cried in the shower afterward, letting the water hide the sound. I told myself they were just objects. I told myself I would rather lose metal than walls. Now, reading the pawn ticket under the dim laundry room light, I felt something cold settle under my ribs. Item list. *1 gold filigree necklace. *1 sapphire ring. *1 diamond earring set. The loan amount beside each line felt like a price tag on my memories. But that was not what made my throat close. At the bottom, in a clean printed field, was the customer name. Not Adrian Salas. Not Calandra Salas. Serena Vale. I blinked, convinced I was misreading. Serena Vale. Below it, a looping feminine signature that did not belong to me and never had. My pulse pounded in my ears. Maybe she was the clerk, I thought. Maybe the ticket printed the wrong name. Maybe he had used someone else's identification for some strange reason. Then my eyes dropped to the timestamp. Thursday, 3 in the afternoon. 2 days before his late-night confession about saving the house. He had already lied. The script had been rehearsed. The guilt had been staged. I folded the ticket once. Then again. Each crease felt like it was slicing through the last of my denial. I slid it into my pocket and walked down the hallway. His office door was almost closed. A thin bar of light stretched across the floor. His voice drifted through the cracks, soft, warm, low in a way it had not been with me in a long time. "I believe in you," he murmured. "We will get through this. I will take care of everything. I promise." My stomach twisted. I recognized that tone. It was the one he used to use when I cried about bills, when my job stressed me out, when my mother was in the hospital. Gentle. Steady. Designed to make you lean into him and stop asking questions. He was comforting someone. And it was not me. The old me would have burst in, waving the ticket like a weapon. Begging for an explanation, he would twist into a story where I was paranoid and ungrateful. The woman standing there in bare feet and a pounding heart did not move. I backed away from the door. I sat on the couch. I opened my laptop. With hands that shook only a little, I typed the name from the ticket into a search bar. Serena Vale plus our city. A public profile appeared. A woman with soft curls and warm brown eyes. A piano behind her in the main photo. The bio said, "Private music teacher. Lover of old stories and strong coffee." She looked gentle. Safe. Like someone the world had not yet tried to break. I scrolled. Cafes. Sheet music. Smiling students. Nighttime city lights. And then I saw him. Adrian. Not front and center. At first he was just a blurred figure at the edge of a frame. A familiar jacket at a rooftop bar. A reflection in a restaurant window. A hand with the watch I had given him resting on a woman's shoulder. Her shoulder. My grip on the trackpad tightened. Another photo. Serena at a candlelit table, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. Adrian leaned in behind her, chin near her hair, wearing a soft, private smile I had not seen directed at me in years. The caption read, "Grateful for this man who believes in me when I doubt myself." The date was 2 months earlier. While he told me I was his only solid ground, he was already anchoring himself to her. My breath came shallow and thin. Then I saw it. A small white jewelry box with a silver ribbon, photographed on her palm. The caption, "When someone invests in your future in a way you can see." The date matched the pawn ticket exactly. My grandmother's necklace, my mother's earrings, my sapphire ring, turned into proof that he believed in her. I saved every screenshot, every caption, every timestamp. I created a new folder on my desktop and named it with one word: evidence. In the hallway, his voice murmured on, low and soothing, designing a future that did not include me. I touched the folded pawn ticket in my pocket. Tomorrow I decided I would walk into Empire Gold and Loan. Not as a confused wife looking for reassurance. As a woman who had finally understood what her husband was willing to sell, and who he really sold it for. And when I saw exactly what he had traded me for, I knew one thing. I would not be the one left paying the price. I did not sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes I saw the ticket, the neat blue ink, her name where his should have been, the jewelry box on her feed, the way she smiled at the camera, unaware she was wearing the ruins of my trust around her neck. Adrian slid into bed after midnight. He smelled like cologne and cold air. "You are still awake," he whispered. "Yes," I said simply. He stroked my arm like nothing had changed. "I know it has been hard, Cal. I am working on things. You just have to trust me a little longer." Trust. The word settled between us like a stone. I did not ask where he had been. I did not mention the ticket, the photos, the name. I let him fall asleep to the sound of his own breathing, and the lie that I was still in the dark. In the morning I left a note on the counter, covering an extra shift at the bookstore. Back later. Leftovers in the fridge. True enough to be plausible, false enough to be useful. Then I drove across town to Empire Gold and Loan. The building was more tired than threatening. Bars on the windows. A buzzing neon sign that flickered between open and a half-lit pen. Inside, glass cases held rows of items under harsh fluorescent light. A bell above the door chimed when I stepped in. The man behind the counter looked up. Late 50s. Faded shirt. Eyes that had seen too many people trade hope for cash and regret for a claim ticket. "Morning," he said. "What can I do for you?" I laid the pawn ticket on the glass between us. "I need to ask about this," I said. He picked it up, his gaze moving down the page with practiced boredom, until he reached the name. "Serena Vale," he read. His eyes flicked to my face. "You her?" "No," I said. "The jewelry is mine." Something in his shoulders shifted. Not surprise. Recognition. "You bring proof?" he asked. I reached into my bag and placed photos on the counter. Me in my mother's kitchen wearing the necklace. Me at our anniversary, sapphire ring catching candlelight. A jeweler's appraisal with my name and a description of the bracelet. He studied each image, then glanced back at the ticket. "Yeah," he said slowly. "That tracks." He sighed and rubbed his forehead. "I remember the guy," he said. "Tall. Dark hair. Kept looking over his shoulder. Said his wife agreed to pawn the stuff but was too sentimental to come in. I asked for ID. He handed me a license that did not match the card in his wallet. I thought it was weird, but the picture checked out and the system took it. "Her ID," I said. He tapped the name on the ticket. "Serena," he confirmed. "Came back a week ago. Paid cash to redeem one of the pieces." My chest tightened. "Which one?" I asked even though I already knew. He disappeared into the back room and returned with a shallow tray. On it lay my sapphire ring and my mother's diamond studs. The necklace was missing. "She took the gold chain," he said. "Said it was special. You want these? You can buy them back for the loan amount, plus a little interest." I looked at the tray. At the pieces that had sat cold and alone while he fed her a story about investing in her future. "I will take them," I said. "And I will need something else." "What is that?" he asked. "Your security footage," I said quietly. "From the day he brought them in, and the day she came back." He hesitated. I cannot give you a copy unless there is a formal request, he said. But I can keep it. And I can tell anyone who asks that it exists. I nodded. Please keep it, I said. Someone will ask. He boxed my ring and earrings carefully. Look, he said, sliding the box across to me. I see a lot of bad decisions in this place. But this one? He tapped the ticket. This one is mean. I'm sorry you are in it. Me too, I said. But I am not staying in it. Outside, the sky had shifted to an overcast gray. The kind that makes everything look flatter. I sat in my car and opened my phone. Back to Serena's profile. Now that I knew what I was looking for, I saw even more. The way he stood just out of frame in photo after photo. The restaurant napkin with his messy handwriting on it. The blurred edge of a jewelry box that I recognized by shape alone. He was not just cheating. He was building a parallel life financed with pieces of mine. I created a new email under a generic name and attached screenshots. The pawn ticket. The jewelry post. A cropped picture of my necklace around her throat. In the subject line I typed, "Do you know what he sold to buy your future?" I stared at the draft. Sending it now would satisfy something raw and hungry inside me. But if they closed ranks, if he convinced her I was unhinged, it could make everything harder to prove. My thumb hovered over the screen. The phone buzzed with a new message before I could decide. It was from my cousin Mira. You went quiet. That means either you are fine or you are on fire. Which is it? I stared at the words, then typed back. On fire. Can you meet? Her reply came almost instantly. Yes. Same cafe as always. Bring everything. I slipped the box with my recovered jewelry into my bag. The pawn ticket went back into my pocket. As I pulled out of the parking lot, one thought settled in with the steady beat of the windshield wipers. Adrian thought I would never see this slip of paper. That I would never see her name. That I would never see them. He had sold my jewelry to help us. Now I was going to decide who us really meant, and what it would cost him. The cafe where Mira and I always met was small, tucked between a florist and a barber shop. It smelled like coffee and old books. When I walked in, she was already there. Hair piled on top of her head, glasses low on her nose, 2 mugs on the table. She took one look at my face and pushed the sweeter one toward me. So, she said, which part of your life is burning? I set my bag on the chair, took a breath, and laid the pawn ticket on the table between us. This is the match, I said. She read it once. Then again. Her eyes narrowed. Whose name is that? She asked. Not mine, I said. Not his. Hers. I pulled out my phone and laid it beside the ticket. Serena's profile stared up from the screen. The jewelry post. The caption. The date that matched the ink on the slip. Mira did not gasp. She did not dramatize. That was one of the reasons I called her. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, all right. Show me everything. I handed her the screenshots. The photos. The dates. I told her about the pawn shop, about the missing necklace and the redeemed chain, about the security footage the owner had promised to preserve. I told her about Adrian's voice behind the half-closed door, soft and reassuring, belonging to a man who did not exist for me anymore. Mira listened without interrupting. When I finished, she sat back and folded her arms. Your husband is not just cheating, she said. He is laundering your life through another woman. The words made my chest hurt, but they were accurate. He says he did it to help us, I said. No, she replied calmly. He did it to help himself. He just used you as the bank and her as the reward. Tears pricked my eyes. I blinked them away. I was tired of crying for someone who would pawn my memories. I do not want to just leave, I said. I want to make sure he can never do this to me again. Or to anyone. Good, she said. Then you need 3 things. I waited. First, she said, ticking it off on her fingers, documentation, which you already started. Every ticket, every photo, every transaction that shows he used your property and your trust. Second, protection. You lock down your accounts, your credit, your house. You make it impossible for him to leverage your name again. Third, and only after the first 2 are rock solid, exposure. Controlled. Legal. Targeted. My heart thudded. Exposure where? I asked. Mira smiled without humor. At his bank. At his work. And if she is willing to see it with her. I glanced at the unsent email to Serena. You think I should tell her? I think she needs to see the numbers, Mira said. But not yet. Right now she thinks she is the main story. She does not know she is a footnote in a larger pattern. You let the professionals get the footage first. Then when you move with proof. I breathed out slowly. What about the law? I asked. Glad you asked, she said. I know someone. A lawyer who deals with financial abuse and marital fraud. You are not the first woman whose partner has treated her assets like a personal playground. The word abuse made something inside me flinch. I had never let myself use it. Felt too big, too heavy. Mira leaned forward, catching the look on my face. Call it what you want, she said gently. But he stole from you. He lied about it. He used another woman's name to hide it. That is not a bad choice. That is a pattern. I nodded. What do I do first? I asked. Today, she said. You call your bank and lock your accounts. You change every password. You pull your credit report and see if he has opened anything in your name. She slid a small card across the table. Then you call her, she added. Amrita Singh. Tell her I sent you. Send her copies of everything. Let her tell you exactly how much power you really have. I turned the card over in my hand. The letters blurred slightly. What about Adrian? I asked. Myra's eyes hardened. You do not warn him, she said. You do not confront him yet. You let him keep thinking you are hurt but manageable. Men like that are dangerous when they know they are cornered. Let the net tighten before he feels it. I nodded slowly. The cafe around us hummed softly. Cups clinked. Someone laughed at another table. Life went on oblivious. Mira reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You are not crazy, she said. You are not overreacting. You are not making drama. You are waking up. A tear finally slipped down my cheek. Do you think I am strong enough to do this? I asked. Her expression softened. You already are, she said. You just have not seen yourself clearly yet. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from Adrian. Lunch today? I miss you. Let's talk. I turned the phone face down. No, I said quietly. I think I am finally ready to let him talk to someone who takes notes. Myra's mouth curved. Good, she said. Then call the bank. Call the lawyer. And Calandra? Yes? When you are done with all of that, she said. We are going to make sure the man who sold your jewelry to fund his affair learns what it feels like when the bill comes due. By the time I sat in Amrita Singh's office that afternoon, I had already done the first terrifying thing. I had called my bank. I listened to the hold music with my heart in my throat, while a polite woman named Karen checked my accounts. Joint checking, joint savings, mortgage, one credit card. So far, nothing new in my name alone. We can put extra protections on your profile, Karen said. No changes without your physical presence and 2 forms of identification. No new credit without a verbal confirmation code known only to you. Yes, I said. Please do that. I hung up shaking but steadier than before. Amrita's office was on the 4th floor of an old brick building downtown. No marble floors. No expensive art. Just shelves of well-used books and a large desk with neat stacks of files. She was in her 40s with calm eyes and a voice that never rushed. I read the summary your cousin sent, she said. Walk me through it in your own words. So I did. The pawn ticket. The jewelry. The mistress's name. The profile. The photos. The pawn shop visit. The recovered pieces. The missing necklace. The security footage. As I spoke, Amrita made small notes, not interrupting, only asking precise questions when I faltered on dates or details. When I finished, she tapped her pen against the desk. Calandra, she said, what your husband did is not just cruel. Parts of it are illegal. He used your property without consent. He appears to have used someone else's identification to pawn it. He misrepresented his situation to you. The word illegal lodged somewhere between my lungs. Can I do anything? I asked. That does not blow my whole life apart in one day? Yes, she said. You can protect yourself first. Then you can decide how far you want the consequences to go for him. She flipped to a clean page. Step 1, she said. We separate your financial existence from his as much as possible. You have already told the bank no changes without you. Good. Next, we document every instance where he used your possessions or information without permission. She pointed to the folder on my lap. This is a strong start. Pawn records, screenshots, dates. We will add any messages, emails, or bank statements that support your story. Step 2, she continued. We preserve external evidence. I will send a formal request to Empire Gold and Loan for their footage. Once that happens, they are obligated to keep it. That removes his ability to claim you imagine things. Step 3, she said. We quietly prepare for 2 paths, marital separation and, if necessary, criminal complaint. My chest tightened. You think I should press charges? I asked. I think you should know you have that option, she replied. He did not make a mistake. He followed a method. Men like that do not stop until someone draws a line they cannot cross. I looked down at my hands. I am scared, I admitted. Not of being without him. Of what he will say about me. He is persuasive. I have met many Adrians, Amrita said calmly. They all rely on the same thing, your silence. Once you have facts on your side, his performance loses power. She leaned back. Here is something else you need to understand, she added. Right now you are thinking like a wife. Hurt. Shocked. Still half hoping there is another explanation. I need you to start thinking like the person whose signature is on the mortgage. The one whose name is on every legal line that matters. That is you, she said softly. Not him. Not her. You. I exhaled slowly. What about Serena? I asked. Legally, she said. She is another victim or another accomplice. Possibly both. Emotionally, that is your decision. You do not owe her anything. But if she holds any of your property, we will reclaim it. She pushed a form toward me. This allows me to act on your behalf with the pawn shop and the bank, she said. To gather records. To clarify that you did not consent. To make it clear that any further use of your name or your assets will be treated as fraud. As I took the pen, my hand shook. How far are you willing to go, Calandra? She asked quietly. If he fights. If he denies. If he tries to turn this around on you. I thought of the way he had said, I did it to help us. The way he had let another woman wear my necklace like proof that he believed in her. The way his voice sounded behind a closed door, soft and devoted, while mine cracked alone in the shower. I am willing to go as far as I need to, I said. So that he cannot sell one more piece of my life and call it love. The pen moved across the paper with a strange, shaky grace. Amrita smiled just a little. Good, she said. Because men like him count on the fact that you will flinch first. We are going to teach him what happens when you do not. My phone buzzed in my bag. A message from Adrian. Dinner tonight? I want to make things up to you. I have a surprise. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I put the phone face down, looked at Amrita and said, I think I am done with surprises. The counterplan did not begin with revenge. It began with passwords. That evening, while Adrian texted me cheerful questions about what I wanted for dinner, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open and changed every login tied to my name. Bank, email, cloud storage, credit monitoring. Every account that held a piece of my life shifted out of his reach, one new password at a time. Next, I pulled my full credit report. No surprise cards. No loans I did not recognize. For once, the quiet in the numbers matched the quiet in my house. For now. Amrita's email arrived just after 7. Subject. Next steps. She had already sent the formal request to Empire Gold and Loan for their footage. She had drafted a letter to the bank documenting unauthorized use of my property and warning that any attempt to list my assets as collateral without my direct consent would be contested. She had also attached a simple spreadsheet. Column A, what he took. Column B, where it went. Column C, what we had to prove it. Seeing it laid out that way did something to me. The story stopped feeling like a storm I was trapped inside and started looking like a map I could read. Adrian came home while I was still staring at the screen. Hey Cal, he called from the hallway. I brought Ty. Your favorite. Thought we could have a reset night. He walked into the kitchen carrying a takeout bag and that smile. The one he used on strangers and servers. Warm. Polished. Safe. You look serious, he said. Everything okay? Once I would have blurted everything out. The ticket. The name. The pawn shop. The lawyer. I would have thrown it all at his feet and watched him twist it into a story where I was hysterical and he was the victim. This time I closed the laptop gently and smiled back. Long day, I said. I am tired. His shoulders relaxed. Then this is perfect, he said. We eat. We watch something dumb. We forget about stress for one night. He kissed my forehead. The gesture landed on my skin like a stranger's hand. As we ate, he talked about work. About a tricky client who did not appreciate everything he did. About a friend who needed help. About how much pressure he carried. He said nothing about a woman who played piano and wore my necklace. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We are going to be okay, he said. You believe that, right? I looked at him. At the man who had sold my heirlooms under his mistress's name, and then asked me to trust him. Yes, I said calmly. I think we will be okay. He smiled, satisfied with the answer, not hearing everything it contained. That night, when he fell asleep beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to his breathing. Amrita had told me something as I left her office. Protection first. Then pressure. Then choice. Protection was underway. Pressure would come next. Choice would be his. Confess or deny. Cooperate or fight. Face consequences or try to outrun them. The next morning, I woke up to a message from an unknown number. Is this Calandra? This is Detective Rowan Hale with the Financial Crimes Division. I received a request from your attorney and a call from Empire Gold and Loan. I think we should talk. I stared at the screen as my pulse picked up. Adrian had sold my jewelry to help us. Now the people who investigate lies printed on paper wanted to hear my side. I typed back with steady fingers. Yes, I am available. As I hit send, Adrian stepped out of the shower humming towel around his waist, utterly unaware that the story he had written was about to meet readers who did not care how well he performed. I caught my own reflection in the mirror. I still looked like me, but inside something fundamental had changed. I was no longer trying to hold our life together. I was getting ready to take it apart, piece by piece, and hand him every broken shard. I left Myra's apartment with my folders sorted, my proof organized, and my rage sharpened into something clean and usable. But life has a way of bending even the best designed plans, and the first twist arrived faster than I expected. My phone buzzed the moment I got into my car. A message from an unknown number. We need to talk. It is about Serena. Asterisk asterisk. I stared at the screen, my pulse tightening. The wording felt urgent, almost desperate. A second message followed. Please. It is important. Come home. It was Adrian. I did not respond. Instead, I turned the key, drove in the opposite direction, and parked half a block away from our house. I needed to see how he behaved when he thought I was gone. And I saw it. Adrian pacing back and forth in the living room, phone pressed to his ear, shouting, something he rarely did unless he felt cornered. I cracked my window just enough to hear fragments. You filed what? Are you insane? This will blow back on me. No, do not talk to the police. Calandra cannot find out. My heart thudded. So Serena had filed something. Or threatened to. And whatever she did, it was enough to make Adrian unravel. Good. I stepped out of the car, walked toward the door, and entered without knocking. He spun toward me like he'd been caught mid-crime. Calandra, where were you? He demanded. Thinking. We have to talk, he said, his voice shaking. There is a problem. With Serena? I asked calmly. His mouth snapped shut. How do you? I held up the pawn ticket. And this, I added, pulling up a screenshot of him and Serena's photos. Helped. He sank onto the couch like his knees failed. You do not understand. She panicked. She filed a report claiming someone was following her. Which someone? I asked. She thinks it was you. I laughed. A short, sharp sound. She is framing me, I said. Because she knows what you two did. Adrian ran a hand over his face. She was scared, he insisted. You cannot blame her. I can, I said. And I do. He stood abruptly, his voice breaking. I need you to protect me, Calandra. There it was, the real truth. Not sorrow. Not remorse. Fear. You want me to fix what you broke, I said softly. Again. His eyes met mine, pleading, hollow. Please. I am begging you. I stepped back, creating space he could not cross. Call your lawyer, Adrian. He shook his head wildly. I need you. No, I said. You need consequences. His jaw clenched. This can ruin me. You ruined yourself. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Detective Hale. We need to meet today. New evidence came in. Asterisk asterisk. I didn't know what kind of evidence he meant, but I knew exactly whose name would be buried in it. I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Adrian asked. To finish what you started. And I left him standing there in the ruins of his own lies. Detective Hale met me at the station with a folder already open, as if he'd been waiting for me. Thank you for coming, he said. There have been developments. Regarding Serena? I asked. And Adrian? He motioned for me to sit. I did. Then he spread the evidence across the desk. Pawn slips, multiple signed under different names. Footage from Empire Gold and Loan. Financial documents that didn't match Adrian's reported income. A complaint Serena filed. Then tried to withdraw. My stomach tightened. Hale tapped one page. This is what concerns me most, he said. Serena initially claimed she was being followed by a woman matching your description. But when we asked for clarification, she became evasive. Then she changed her story. To what? I asked. She said Adrian told her to file the complaint. I inhaled sharply. So he is using her to shield himself. That is what it looks like. He continued. But here's the interesting part. She admitted something else. He pushed forward a printed transcript. She said Adrian had asked her to redeem certain pawned items because he couldn't risk being seen reclaiming them. She didn't know they belonged to you. I laughed bitterly. Of course he didn't tell her. She also said he told her you would handle it emotionally, meaning you would fall apart, not fight back. That line burned hotter than betrayal, because it was exactly who I used to be. Quiet, forgiving, soft. Not anymore. Hale leaned back. Based on what we have, you have grounds to file charges. Fraud, identity misuse, concealment of marital assets, potential conspiracy between the two of them depending on intent. I exhaled slowly. What do you recommend? I asked. I recommend you meet with your lawyer before they realize the walls are closing in. I nodded. Before I left, Hale said something that surprised me. You are handling this well, Calandra. No, I said. I am handling this truthfully. When I stepped outside, Serena was standing near the entrance. She froze when she saw me. Her eyes were red. Her hands trembled. I did not know, she whispered. About the jewelry. About the necklace. About any of it. I stayed silent. She swallowed. I thought he loved me. He loved what you gave him, I said. Not who you were. She blinked back tears. He told me you were unstable, that you would overreact, that you were cold. He said you did not care about him. I felt something inside me loosen. Not sympathy but clarity. That is how men like Adrian survive, I said. They rewrite the truth for whoever is listening. She stepped closer. I want to help you, she said. Tell me what to do. You already did, I said. You showed the truth. I walked past her. Her voice broke behind me. I am so sorry. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. But either way, I wasn't the woman who needed her apology. I was the woman about to reclaim her life. I met with my lawyer Amrita that afternoon. Her office was lined with degrees and framed verdicts. She looked at the folder I placed on her desk, everything from the pawn slips to screenshots to Hale's notes, and nodded as if she'd been expecting exactly this. You have enough to file for divorce, claim restitution, and press charges, she said. The question is, how public do you want the fallout to be? Public enough, I said. But legal first. Amrita smiled. Good. Emotion makes messes. Evidence makes decisions. We drafted the divorce filing. We outlined the fraud claims. We prepared the financial separation documents. Then she said, "Now we schedule the confrontation." "With Adrian?" I asked. "With Adrian, Serena, and the financial institution affected by the fraud," she said. "We bring everything forward at once. Maximum impact. Minimum escape routes." My chest tightened. "What happens after?" "After," she said, leaning back, "their stories collapse." And collapse they did. The joint meeting was arranged at the bank's legal department. When I walked in, Adrian was already there, pale, sweating, unshaven. Serena sat 2 chairs away, arms wrapped around herself. Amrita placed the evidence on the table, one document at a time. The pawn slips, the signatures, the timestamps, the financial inconsistencies. The room felt heavy, like oxygen didn't want to stay. The bank's investigator asked the first question. "Mr. Salas, did you knowingly submit collateral that you did not own?" Adrian stammered. "Look, this is blown out of proportion." "That is not an answer," she said. He tried again. "I was trying to help us." I slammed the pawn ticket onto the table. "With her name on it?" I asked. His mouth snapped shut. The investigator continued. "Ms. Vale, did you knowingly redeem assets belonging to Mrs. Salas?" Serena swallowed. "No. I was told she approved it." "By who?" Silence. Then, "Adrian." The investigator turned to him again. "This is fraud," she said. "And both of you are implicated." Adrian exploded. "This is your fault," he shouted at Serena. "You were supposed to back me up." "My fault," she shot back. "You told me she didn't care. You told me she was fine. You used me." The two of them argued like cornered animals, clawing at each other to avoid drowning. I watched it all with a calm I never knew I could possess. Because this unraveling, was the justice they built themselves. Amrita leaned toward me. "When they are done tearing each other apart," she whispered, "we finish it." And we did. I signed the divorce papers in front of everyone. I filed the restitution claim. I initiated the fraud report. I separated my finances legally and permanently. When the meeting ended, Adrian tried to follow me out. "Cal, wait, please." I turned. I waited long enough. And I walked away while his world collapsed behind me. The next morning felt different. Not triumphant. Not relieved. Just quiet. Like a storm had passed. But the air hadn't decided how to feel yet. I received 3 calls. One from the bank. "Your assets are secure. His accounts are frozen." One from Hale. "The false complaint is officially withdrawn." Serena admitted she was coached. One from Serena. A voicemail, barely a whisper. "I am leaving the city. I hope you heal." I didn't respond. Some chapters deserve silence. I spent the day reclaiming my home. Not with dramatic gestures. With small ones. Changing the sheets. Opening windows. Throwing away his half-used cologne bottles. Taking my restored jewelry from the velvet pouch the pawnshop owner returned it in. When I fastened my grandmother's necklace around my throat again, something inside me settled. Not healed yet, but aligned. Later that afternoon, Mira brought coffee and sat with me on the porch. "You look lighter," she said. "I feel awake," I replied. She nodded. "Good. Now you build your life again. Without anchors that drown you." I looked at the street, the sky, the ordinary world that somehow kept moving even when mine felt frozen. "What do you think happens to them?" I asked her. "To Adrian and Serena?" "Yes." Mira shrugged. "People who build their lives on lies eventually live inside them." And she was right. By the end of the week, Adrian's business had halted. Clients withdrew. His accounts remained locked. His name sat under an active investigation file. Serena left town quietly. They destroyed each other faster than I ever could have. All I had to do was step out of the way. 6 months later, I stood in the art gallery where my first photography exhibit opened. People wandered through the room, pausing at pieces I once created in moments of quiet longing. A woman pointed at one photo, a window with sunlight spilling across the floor, and said, "This one feels like survival." Survival. Not revenge. Not victory. Survival. Mira appeared beside me, handing me a glass of sparkling water. You made it, she said softly. Yes, I whispered. I finally made it. My life now is simple, peaceful, and wholly mine. Adrian's investigation continued. Serena rebuilt somewhere far away. Neither had touched my world in months. And I didn't need them to. My students, my gallery work, my morning routine. These became the quiet pillars of my rebuilt existence. Sometimes people ask me, do you regret fighting back? No, because fighting back wasn't about destroying him. It was about refusing to destroy myself to protect him. So if you're listening to this and you feel small, doubted, ignored, hear me clearly. You are not wrong for demanding respect. You are not overreacting for wanting the truth. You are not selfish for protecting your future. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to rise from what was meant to break you. My husband sold my jewelry. He used another woman's name. But I reclaimed everything he tried to take. Most importantly, myself. If my story touched you, stay with me. More stories are coming. Stories where women stop apologizing and start rebuilding. Subscribe and remember, protecting your peace is not revenge. It is rebirth.